live the life beyond the boundaries we set on ourselves, to live and to run boundless, to be inspired, to achieve, to overcome the mountaintop in our life. Embrace the journey, become boundless.
So, hello, family. Welcome to another episode of the Live Room Boundless show. Of course, everybody probably know me by now. I'm Kenneth Pinckney, and today I have my special guest co-host, Miss Erin Tsurumoto Grassi. To teach me how to pronounce her middle name. So thank you for that. And so today's guest is a woman who seems like she getting better with time or faster as time goes on.
Thank you.
This is a young woman of many talents. She grew up in Southern California, a daughter of a captain in the Marine Corps and a high school principal. She started her swimming career at a very young age of 6. She continued her swimming career into college, UCLA, where along with received her Bachelor of Art in Sociology. She got her first taste of acting while in her senior year in college by invitation from a friend. And then later on in her young life, she discovered running and she changed the game. You know? So some of her many accomplishments in life so far includes she appeared over 40 national commercials and the first major role in Amistad, I'm saying that right, and play a lifeguard in 2 seasons of Baywatch. And she had roles in such TV shows as Scandal, Grey Anatomy, and many others. And she had been part of a part of the James Elite Racing Team since 2012 at the age of 41 years young. Then in 2019, at 47 years of age, she played first in the women open division at LA Marathon, running 2 hours, 48 minutes, 3 seconds. If that's correct?
Yes.
Well, along the way, she did have a setback, but it just set her up for a comeback.
I like that.
Yeah. So, Live Room Balance family, let's welcome Miss Ingrid Waters to the show. So,
oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. This is great.
Yes. So first, how you doing today?
I'm great. I had a nice track workout this morning.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was, I haven't had a track workout in a while, so it was good. Those workouts where you just feel good.
Yes.
You kind of want to hug your workout. You're like, oh my gosh, I like this workout, and
that's good.
Good.
Sometimes don't feel good at the moment, but after you finish, you probably feel good.
Exactly. No, you're absolutely right. Sometimes it doesn't. I had to run 3 miles to the track, then do the track workout, and then run 3 miles back. So the running back was real fun. I was like, oh, this hurts right now.
Okay, that's awesome. But I like the process, journey of people's life and where they begin at, how they get to where they're at. So tell us, the family, about your life. You grew up in Southern California.
Well, I'm actually grew up close to where you guys are. You're in.
Yes.
Are you in San Diego, the city of San Diego, or are you? Yeah. So you are.
Well, I'm in Chula Vista. I live in Chula Vista.
Oh yeah. Chula Vista. Many swim meets in Chula Vista. There's actually a really good swim team in Chula Vista.
Okay.
Aquatics, I remember that. And but I started swimming around 6, 7 years old. I started competing, and we were living in Japan at the time. And I was a captain in the Marine Corps. So we would always come back to Southern California.
Okay.
Camp Pendleton. And then, then we go to Japan and then come back. And then we go to Georgia and then come back. And we go to Virginia and then come back. So it was just always going there and coming back, because my dad grew up in LA. He's born and raised. So my grandparents are here, or were here, and many aunts and uncles in LA, but we were in Oceanside.
Okay, yes.
So that's where I started swimming. on a team called North Coast Aquatics. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. I know they're still around, and my coach is still coaching.
Yeah.
I think 45 years later still. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing that it's great. He's still coaching, and I was doing junior lifeguards actually also in Carlsbad.
Okay then.
That was sort of how the ocean swimming started.
Okay, yeah.
Swim coach when I was 9 was our junior lifeguard instructor. So we would go to swim practice in the morning and then head right to the beach right after. I don't even know how we did it because the junior lifeguard was like 5 hours long and our swim practice was an hour and a half, 2 hours. And at 9, you're like, wait a second, what? I didn't realize it until I got older, how crazy it actually was. When you think about it, it's like, wait, how did we do this? But I think that kind of set me up for the competition and lifeguarding later on and just loving swimming.
Yeah.
You know, so that's and that kind of started when I was down there, and then I was on the team, North Coast Aquatics, and then we moved to Mission Viejo, where I swam on the Matador. So I don't know if you know about that team, but it's a pretty big swimming team.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest, well-known swimming clubs in the country, and they pretty much breed swimmers there.
Oh, wow.
Like yeah, like you start double workouts at 13. I mean, it's and swimming's a year-round sport. So if you can only imagine our life, that's what our life was. So
you live, breathe, eat swimming
every single day except Sunday. Unless if we didn't have a swim meet, we didn't have a swim meet. We got one day off.
Okay.
But I just slept, so it didn't really matter.
That's funny. You know.
Yeah.
I kind of felt that way. I was in boot camp where I got asked my back because I couldn't swim, and I spent my whole time, the whole month of boot camp, just swimming.
Yeah, swimming. I mean, it really is one of the best sports you can do. You know, physically for your body. It's you don't really hear a lot of swimmers getting injured, and if they do, it's the rotator cuff or their knees. But it's not as common as running injury. Really not.
So why did your parents got into swimming at such a young age? What the reason behind it?
We were going to learn how to swim before we crawled. So that was that. So I have an older brother and a younger sister, and we were all swimmers.
Okay.
So it was, and my dad was also, he was because he was a captain and he did 2 tours in Vietnam, and he taught his Marines how to rescue dive. And so he was an avid scuba diver. And so he always, it was a no-brainer that we were going to know how to swim. I don't even remember learning how to swim. If I could, I mean, that's how much of a swimmer I have no clue how I learned how to swim.
Wow. Yeah.
So it was one of those important things. And I think that it is important because I really, it always boggles my mind that, people in Southern California that don't know how to swim. I'm like, oh man. So I'm really, it's.
Don't understand. Can you understand?
Yeah, well, I don't understand it, but at the same time, I want to make it. I want to somehow, make it more, have a more of an awareness.
Definitely.
Learning how to swim, especially in neighborhoods where there's no swimming pools.
Yeah, I remember.
And then you are invited over to a swimming pool, and it's it's so. I think it's really important. It's just a skill that everybody should have.
Oh yeah, I believe it. Yeah, definitely.
Not just the select few,
Yeah, I got a funny story. I got plenty of funny story about swimming.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that for another time,
Right.
I got to tell. Well, I'm gonna drown as the last. I was a grown man. I'm gonna drown. But that's another story.
No, that happens though, and then people, when that almost happens, they never want to go back to the pool again or to seawater.
Yeah. There you go. Cool.
Yeah.
My mother made certain every summer the first week of June in the Bay Area we had to take swimming lessons because it was that important.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I've known a lot of swimmers throughout my life,
mm-hmm.
And most of the swimmers I know hated running.
I was one of them.
You guys like tell me what made you switch from swimming to running?
I can't believe he'll post stuff if I post something about running. He's like, just so everybody knows, she hated running, because I did. He ran track and he played football. So, running was always in our lives, but even when we would swim, sometimes we'd have to run around the pool or like up and down the street or whatever, but it just, like, I would never want to run track. Like, why would I want, even today, I was like, I can't understand. I'd rather run a marathon and didn't do 800s right now. I would rather, or do 2-mile repeat. Like, I just, and so no, I hated it too. I did not like it. But when I stopped swimming in college, because I stopped swimming my second year at UCLA, and I stopped everything. I stopped working out. I stopped everything. I would just walk to campus. I'd walk, and then I knew I had to do something, and running seemed to be the next thing that I wasn't going to go to join master swimming. Why would I do that? Like, that's no, that wasn't my thing, but it's a lot of swimmers do that, but I didn't. And so that's when I started jogging, and then sort of, I started picking, I was like, yeah, maybe I'll run a marathon. This guy came into one of my classes at UCLA and was like, hey, anyone want to run the marathon? It's in a month. And it was the old LA marathon course.
Okay.
So I did it on a dare. We had a month to train. And I think I ran it in 4 hours.
Wow.
And I was like, it was one of those things where you say you'll never do that again. Like, oh, that's not fun. I'm never doing that again. And then 10 years later, 12 years later, I was like, well, maybe let me start running again. And then that's when I started kind of jogging again a little bit. And then I finally got down under 4 hours, but I wasn't trying to. And then another 5 years would go by and I'd try it again. And then I was in the 3:30s.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And then I try it again. And then once I got below 3:20, that's when I thought, okay, well, I'm not getting any younger, but I'm getting faster. So I still feel good. I still feel like I can do something, some kind of sport. And so that's when and then I had run 3:10, I think. And then that's when I joined the Janes at 41. So thinking I would break 3 hours, hoping I would break 3 hours, and that took 5 years to do, mind you.
But it's encouraging, like, for those of us who have run one marathon and we're like, never again. Like, it's encouraging for me to hear that you can take 5 years, do it again.
Oh my gosh. I was so close. I would get to 3:05 and I finally got to 3:02. And then I realized I needed a coach, because I was doing, I looked up Hal Higdon online, brilliant workouts, if you want an online free, that just tells you what to do every day. And it was working because that's all I used the whole time. But then I thought, no, I need like something in person, like something, where I can actually see the person and I don't have to be there all the time, but just I can talk to. And, even that, it took some time to figure out, just certain things that I had to do. And then the coach was learning as well.
Okay.
So
wow.
it was
definitely going to come back to that, because I'm definitely going to have a lot more questions. How you progress to that. But I'm curious too, because I know Kenneth had mentioned, and I saw in your bio that you were a lifeguard in Santa Monica.
Yeah, I was for 10 years. I started out in Catalina Island, actually, for my first 2 summers. It was my first summer was my first summer at UCLA, or my first year at UCLA. And my swim coach at the time, her husband was a lieutenant. So he would come around at different swim meets, but he came around at our Pac-10 meet. And it was, between heats and finals. And he's like, hey, anybody want a job in the summer? Or like, this is this tryout for a lifeguard. I was like, well, I've been doing junior guards my whole life. Why not do it? I've been swimming. I know the ocean. And I tried out and because you have to do a swim first before you can even move on to, the actual boot camp. And there were probably almost 400 people, I think, and they only took the top 60 people.
Wow.
It didn't matter. You couldn't wear goggles, you couldn't wear a cap, you couldn't wear a wetsuit. Like it was, because you can't do that when you're rescuing someone.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it didn't matter if you were a man or a woman, like it was everybody for themselves.
There you go. Yeah.
And so, I think I was the second woman to finish. Remember who finished in front of me, but yeah, and it was, but I got 19th place. So it was, and then you go on and you have to get eye tests and all kinds of things. And then you go to training, and it's very difficult. It's really hard. And I think a lot of people don't understand how hard it actually is, but it was fun. I had a great time. It's our job, but 10 years I did it.
Yeah.
So what I'm sure you have some really, really interesting stories from being in Santa Monica in particular. Like, what is one of the stories from being a lifeguard that just stands out?
There are two. One of them is I had a guy with a Confederate flag behind my tower. Nothing you can do. This is 1992. Okay. And so, but you can't do anything. I mean, you can put whatever you want up.
Yeah.
You need to have it up there every day. I remember what tower I'd work. I was, tower 4. And he just would have it sitting there, and I'd come with my car. I'd have by the parking lot was right there, and I walking past him with my stuff, and he would just be there all day. It was really just bad. It was really weird. And then one time I had a guy who kind of came up and ran up in my tower, and no one's allowed on the up there. And he was bleeding, and he was like, "Oh, this guy's trying to kill me." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Let me in." I said, "No." So I closed my tower, and he's like, he was blood coming from his face. So anytime there's an emergency, or even if there's a rescue, and if you're inside your tower, you have to knock your phone off the hook, because that signals the control. It's probably a lot different now. 92, 93. And it ended up he was on a lot of drugs. The lifeguards came. I had barricaded myself in the tower, banging on the door, and he ran in the ocean, not thinking that a team of lifeguards weren't going to catch him. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, dude, you're so hot. What is the, so it, just random stuff. You just never know when you're dealing with the public what you're going to encounter every day, because every day is different.
You've been through a lot breast the past couple of years, So you're a recent breast cancer survivor. Well, not only you're a cancer survivor, but during that time, you ran 50 miles a week during the chemo, and then 70 miles a week during the radiation. So how and why did you?
Well, it made me feel better. Let's just say. I'm not. And I want to preface what I'm going to talk about by saying I don't want it to come across as like, oh no, I think I'm a superhero that I just because I know that there are people that are going through it and don't feel like working out or don't feel like running. I'm not saying you have to run that or anybody has to, or it's just that's what my body needed. And I think that but what I do think is that they don't emphasize how important exercise is enough, because obviously they don't want to scare you. They don't want to be like, hey, you can run and you can do all this stuff. I know you might not feel great, but you can do it anyway. Because you really can. I'm not the only one that's doing it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people who have cancer that are training, that are working out, but somehow there's never a focus on that. I know. I mean, I was looking it up, trying to find people, trying to find athletes with cancer, women with breast cancer, Olympians with breast cancer. I found Shantae Lowe. I don't know if you know who that is, but she's a high jumper and she got diagnosed right after I did. And so, going to the Olympics and she's training. So it's, that I just felt like that's what my body needed. I felt good. My first day of chemo, I felt amazing afterwards. And I thought, well, I'm going to go for a run. Because I ran all the way up until that point. And when you listen to everybody and doctors, and if you unfortunately go on the internet and look at things, you get scared. And you're like, I can't do that. So I thought, I'm going to see how I feel, and then I'll go run. And when I was like, well, I feel really good. And I went and I was like, I'm going to run 5 miles. Ran 5 miles. And I was like, okay. And then I did it the next. That's just, so this is my thing. I'm going to do 5 miles a day. That's my, not knowing that by Saturday, I'd feel like complete crap, but it just kind of goes through you. But that was my day off. That was my day to do nothing. It was just, it was just my day to feel gross. But then the next day I was better and I'd run. And then it was that cycle for 6 rounds. So it was every 3 weeks I would go in and I'd do it. And, it's just, you know how you feel after you run. Right? That's exactly how I felt after, you sit and you have this stuff in your system. Like, well, I want to get it out. And I'm a heavy sweater. So.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, I read that and I was like, I've never done a 70-mile week period. I don't know how.
Well, radiation was different because I didn't have anything intravenous. I didn't have anything going through my veins. So radiation is 12 minutes. But I had to go every single day, 5 days a week for 25 days straight. You get the weekends off. So Cedars was my friend. Like they were that was my job. That was, you'd have to go at the same time every day. And you sit in this machine, I made that a competition to myself, because you have to, it's this machine that goes around you. So it radiates this, because I had it in my right breast, and you have to hold your breath. And they do these rotations. So they're like, well, if you ever have to breathe, you have to hold your breath. If you have to breathe, the machine's going to stop. But when you start breathing again, it'll start up again. And I said, well, I'm like, well, has anyone ever done a full rotation before? And they're like, well, a couple people have. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do the full rotation. I'm going to hold my breath. Like that became, you have to make it fun. Like, that became my thing. I was like, okay, no, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to not stop. I'm going to hold my breath. So, it made it fun, and it made it not last 12 minutes. So it was, I would be out of there in like 6-7 minutes. I was like,
improvise,
it was, so you had to make it fun, and everyone was great. And it was but I didn't feel the effects of the radiation until later. So I felt like I was kind of getting my groove back. Oh my gosh, that's it. This is great. Then I started taking my hormone pill, and that's what really kind of gives you a little bit of a jolt of, wait, I have to take this for the next 5 to 10 years. So your body definitely reacts to that. And it's not fun. So it took me a while to get used to that. But I'm good now. I'm getting back to my paces. Hard.
I know they say 1 in 8 American women will develop breast cancer.
Yes.
Having gone through it, like, what message do you have for other women?
It's not a death sentence. Don't go on the internet and read everything about it. And I know people want to. I mean, that's what my doctor told me. I was like, whatever, I'm going to go and I'm going to look up everything. But it did me no good except scare me, because they don't put the good stuff on there. But I mean, they don't put stories like women training through it, or, they don't put those things on it. So I really think that it's, like I said, it's not a death sentence. And you can, if you move your body, moving your body can work wonders.
The mind.
I changed my diet a little bit, not that much, but it's one of those things where and also get checked, get your mammograms. You know, I have all my friends were like, I got my mammogram. I was like, yay. You know, I'm like, I haven't gotten one in 3 years. I was like, I know, I didn't either. And that was my fault. That was, you know, I should have not waited that. I shouldn't have waited 3 years to get one, or else I probably would have caught it a lot sooner. But I didn't. And, you know, I think anybody going through it, as long as you might not feel that great, but I can promise you, you'll feel better if you walk around the block 2 or 3 times a day. You know, keep going to work, you know, keep going out with your friends. You know, I never stopped any of that. I mean, when I wasn't feeling well, I would, you know, I would be like, I can't go today, but I celebrated my birthday. I would still wear makeup and get like it was like my life didn't stop. I was still auditioning.
Okay.
My agents knew, and everyone was really supportive.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. I think that's something really important.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. Like I think I know of one distance runner who's still running during cancer treatments.
Yeah.
You don't hear about the incredible stories.
You don't. And there's so many of them. You know, we have all of these runs and these 5Ks and all of these races, but no one ever really points out are there women actually running through treatment, running during these races? You know, I know, unfortunately, you hear about the people who have passed away, and that's always sad, and it always is heartbreaking. And I commend anyone who comes out and runs for people. I think that's great. But there's also women that are running through it that they don't, I feel like they kind of get overlooked, you know, when I think it should be something that should be just part of the program.
Yeah.
You know, just be part of the program. And I'm hoping that I can do something to where I can introduce that to where it's just part of the program all the time, you know?
Sounds like you may have a future at part of the high up leadership of Susan B. Komen.
Yeah, I hope so.
They could use you.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. And there, just like you said, there's people that do go through it, men too, you know, there's, you know, so.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to switch gears a little bit, but thank you for sharing that. It's helpful, and I'm going to keep that in my mind. Get tested when I'm at that age.
Right.
And I'm going to call my mom and be like, Mom, did you get your mammogram?
Right.
Make sure she's doing that.
You can get it, like a 3D one too. You know, those are, you know, the really heavy ones.
So I know not only have you been a competitive swimmer, a competitive runner, but you're an actress too. So I'm kind of curious. You got to tell us the lowdown on Hollywood. What's it really like to be an actress?
Well, it's fun when you're working, but you know, I've had a really good time, and I hope to continue to have even a better time in I'll be 50 in November. So I've got, I don't know, I feel like I've only lived a little bit of my life. So, you know, I've had some really great parts, being able to work on Baywatch as basically myself. I was playing myself pretty much.
Okay, Lifeguard, huh?
That's
yeah, because there weren't that many black. There was only one other African American female lifeguard, and it was in the 70s.
Oh wow.
Women weren't even allowed to try out.
Oh wow.
Until 1974.
Wow.
Yeah. And so she tried out, I think it was 76, 75, but I think she only stayed around for a couple of years. But and then after her was me.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. So, and then there's another girl who started a couple of years ago.
Okay.
But it's but you know, it's fun, and it's created by a lifeguard. And it's I just love acting. I love playing. I love, you know, seeing how people see me. You know? Like it's like sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going out for that. Okay, cool. You know, it's so I've had some really fun parts. Interestingly enough, before I had my first surgery, like after I found out my surgery was in August, and I had just gotten a new agent the day before I found out that I had breast cancer. And they were all gung ho and just wanting to, you know, send me out. And And then the next day, I'm signing the paperwork, and then the next day I go to my doctor and I found out. I was like, oh God, what am I? So I ended up booking a job a week before my surgery.
Wow.
And it was during the time that my surgery was. They're like, okay, make sure you block out these times, it's for Shameless, this TV show Shameless.
Okay.
And great show. And I was like, there's no way that even if my surgery is on that day, I'm not going to do I'm going to wait for my surgery. But it just all worked out.
Okay.
It all worked out. My surgery was a few days later, but but that happens, that happens. I've trained for a marathon and then booked a job the week before the marathon, and I just couldn't do the marathon.
Oh,
4 months of training for Chicago.
Oh no.
Yeah, I booked a commercial and I just couldn't do the marathon. Running will always be a hobby and fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just will be, and there's always going to be another marathon.
Yeah.
There always will be, but there might not always be another job. So,
yes.
like all the work that goes into a marathon.
I know, but it's just, that's what I think makes it fun for me.
Yeah.
And that not to take it too seriously, because my job comes first.
Yeah.
And if it just so happens that it falls when if I book a huge series, but I have a marathon that weekend that I've been training for 4 months, I'm not gonna do the marathon.
Yeah.
Well, you'd be in good shape,
Exactly. And there'll be another marathon soon, there'll be another one. So yeah, but it's a fun business, and it has its ups and downs.
Yeah.
But I think just being an athlete and that desire to just want to keep going, it helps.
Oh yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
It helps a lot with this business because this isn't a business where just because you're talented doesn't mean you're going to get the job.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're a runner, if you run fast, you run fast.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you win, you get first place in a race.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter how tall you are. It doesn't matter how thin you are. It doesn't matter anything.
Right.
Just you won, or you got second, or you got third, or you improved your time.
Yeah.
Whereas, when you're in a job, an acting job, it's based on someone else's opinion. So that was a hard thing for me to wrap my head around at first, because you work so hard and then you don't get it. And you realize, well, okay, that person got it. I get it. Because then you get a job and that person didn't get it. So you know what I mean? So it's just
it's about getting that lucky break, I guess, what people say,
Yeah, I've had a lot of lucky breaks though. I'm very proud of what I've done, and I'm really excited to see what is going to happen in the future.
Yeah. Definitely, me too.
Yeah.
So throughout your various careers, I imagine you had to navigate spaces that weren't always exclusive, like swim in Hollywood. I think you talked about that a little bit already, even the running community at times. So how do you navigate those spaces, and what's your hope for the future generation who had to navigate those same spaces you had to navigate,
I mean, that's a tricky question, because I never grew up thinking that because I was a woman or because I was Black, I couldn't do something.
Yes.
It just never, ever was something that my parents really talked about, because it was, like I said, with swimming and running. You either get that time or you don't.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if you're Black or Asian or what, that time or you don't. If I qualified if there were 60 white males that finished in that white lifeguard, the lifeguard tryouts, that's who advanced forward.
Okay.
But that didn't happen that year. But in it, you know what I mean? That it's so, I feel like there's challenges, because a lot of the times they don't see a lot of women lifeguards or Black or people of color that are doing a job that's exclusively, really not exclusively, but majority of it's white males. So that's when it gets interesting.
Okay.
People get, some people are nice, some people aren't. There's a lot of men that don't like to be rescued by a female, regardless of your ethnicity. They just don't want a female lifeguard handing the rescue can in the middle of a riptide.
Okay. Oh yeah, man pride.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And so there's that. And, you know, with running, I think that I think for marathons, because there's so few Black female marathon runners, that I hope that the ones that are here now, like me, and there's Sika and there's Shawana and there's what's her name, who just ran Olympic trials?
Alethine.
No, one second. The other girl, she's American born. Oh my gosh, what is her name? I cannot think of her name, but I'm going to send you her stuff. She's amazing.
Okay.
And 240 something, but I think something happened with her foot. She was on the, she was on her way to running 230 something.
Oh wow.
High 230s, and she's an American born.
Okay.
American female, and there's nothing against African women running for America, but I think it's important that we introduce marathon running to American-born women, American-born females here, because we don't have to just be sprinters. We don't have to play basketball. You know? And I think that's something that I hope changes, and I think it changes coaches, it changes with parents. You know, I think people think there's no money in marathons. Like, there's actually a lot of money in marathons with, if you're willing to put in the work. But most coaches, and I've talked to, I mean, the president of my team is a high school track and fields coach, and we've had this discussion, and I was like, she was like, you know what, I never thought about it. I always just assume that my Black athletes are sprinters. And so, but it's not anything against, it's nothing against her. It's just what they want to do. That's what a lot of athletes want to do. But she said, I introduce them into, the 3K and 5K and the, because it obviously going to make them a better athlete. And I think that's what we need to start doing,
Definitely. Got to open up.
You have to.
But I just like people saying more that we could do,
And I know you can't start running marathons until after college, but at least 5K or a 10K. You don't see young African American kids running a 5 or 10K, but you see them, African kids doing it, but you don't see African American kids doing it. And like I said, it's nothing against, anybody that comes to run here from other countries, but it's, it's not my opinion is not very popular. So I tend to sort of.
I think you're spot on.
It's.
I grew up doing track and field. Cross country. And I had one teammate who was Black. And, as a phenomenal athlete, she could have sprinted if she wanted, but she knew she was really strong at distance, but she was the only one. And I don't think that she's the only person in our school.
Exactly. I'm not the only African American. Shawana and Sika, we are not the only. I wouldn't say her Piper. Piper is not her name. Oh, I feel so bad. I don't remember her name right now. But we're not the only ones. And there's so many before us too. Not many, but it's sad that we even have to. We have to even think about it, and it shouldn't be that way. So the National Association of Black Marathoners is doing a really good job at putting together a history of Black distance runners.
That's great.
It's amazing, and there's stories I never even knew. I never knew Dick Gregory was a runner. Like I just it's really interesting, and a lot of ultra runners and I hope that I can be some kind of influence as well, because I want to do that with swimming and running.
Okay, there you go.
So
anything we can do to help, hey, definitely.
Because there's, like you said, there can't just be one person at the entire school.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Right, you know?
Yeah, but you got to bring more awareness
Yeah.
Well, Evan.
Mhm.
And so a lot of women are told that they will peak during their 30s.
Right.
Here you are proof that you can continue to get better and be an incredible athlete, like well past your 30s. So I'm just kind of curious, like what advice do you have for women runners in their 30s, like me, who are worried that their fast days of running are numbered?
Don't listen, and don't, honestly, like, don't listen. I don't read articles about that kind of stuff. I don't listen to people when they say, you know, I just, it's just never been something that I've focused on, because I go by how I feel, and I go by, yeah, I know that I'm going to have to, my body likes miles. My body likes
Okay.
running. You know, when I start training for London, I'm going to be doing London this year. I know that if I want to do my best, I have to run between 90 and 100 miles a week. I just know I have to do that. So, you know, I just think, don't listen to people, listen to your own body and challenge yourself a little bit, because trust me, if you're running marathons in your late 30s and you weren't a runner, let's say you weren't a runner before that, and you're, you know, in high school or whatever, you don't have all the miles on your legs. You don't have all of those, you know, you don't have all those miles. And so you might as well take advantage of it. There's so many women that are older that are I mean, if you look at the women that are running in the Olympics,
Yes.
different countries, there's a woman that just ran 227 or 226, she's 42, 2 kids. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah.
I run on a team where, you know, I'm running with women who they did run in college and they were fast. Went to Olympic trials, top 8, you know, got all Americans, you know, and these are women who've had kids and they're still competing. They're maybe not at their times that they were doing at 22, but they're not that far off.
Okay.
And it's fun and it's awesome to watch. And we've got these young girls out of college who thought, because you're told that you're done.
Yeah.
You're told your days of running are over. And it's like, actually, they've actually just started. You know, there's a reason why people aren't running in college anymore, because they can go and they can compete and make money. Or if they do their 4 years afterwards, they're like, well, I'm going to keep competing because I'm still fast. And I'm not going to listen to some dumb coach that's going to tell me, oh, no, your days are over just because you get a little injury or whatever. There's so much, you have so much in you.
Yeah.
And I think as long as you challenge yourself to get better, because I always say you get what you get what you train for.
Yeah.
You know, if you're only training for a certain time, that's the time you're going to get. So why not push yourself a little bit fast, push yourself a little bit more in your workouts? It doesn't have to be, you know, craziness, but just a little bit more, you know, and, you know, pay attention to the massages and, you know, avoiding injury and eating right. There's so many different things that go into it that, I mean, there's another girl on our team. She's the same way. She ran 250 last year. She just turned 46. You know what I mean? Yeah. And she ran in high school, but she's faster than she was when she was in high school.
Wow.
And she has twin boys, like she's got twins. And so and I think I'm just very fortunate to be around women who, they don't even think about that. It's just, oh no, I'm still going to compete.
Yeah.
And still be the best I can be at 56 or, you know, 60 or 47.
Yeah.
So it's not over until, I don't know, no one's telling, everyone's kind of, I mean, Tom Brady's 43.
There you go.
He's going to play until he's 50 and everyone gives him crap, but it's like, he's doing what he's supposed to be. He's like, what is he not doing? He's not going out partying. He's not, people make fun of him about how he eats or his wife, about what they eat. But guess what? She's a highest paid supermodel. Yeah. And he's the best at, you know, what he does at that age. And he's going to keep going until he doesn't want to do it anymore. Yeah, definitely. To be able to do that and to be able to do it, he'll probably get to 50 and be like, oh, okay, I'm done. Yeah.
It's just like LeBron James. You know, he's 40, but he's playing like he's in his 20s, you know?
he spends what, $1 million on his body.
Yeah, that helped too.
But I don't even, and I think a lot of the times people think, oh no, that's just them. They had this, or they've got all the money of it. No.
Okay.
If you really look at what they're doing, they're not doing anything different than what anybody else can do. Maybe you're not going to spend you can't spend $1 million in your body, but you can still train.
Yeah.
You can still,
right.
Strength train and do all these things that that are going to keep your body fit.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very fortunate. I'm a black man from the South, from South Carolina, and somebody from where I'm from and doing what I'm doing, I'm supposed to be doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. And you're an inspiration to a lot of people that see that and they're like, wait a minute, I can do that too. And it's, so I think that you don't listen to people. You just do how you do how you feel, how your body feels, and what it's allowing you to do. And I promise you, if you just add a couple extra miles or add something different, at a different race, at a different distance, you'd be surprised.
Oh yeah.
Well, you're certainly serving as an inspiration for me, and I'm so thankful to be able to pick your brain on some of this, because the messaging that's out there is not good.
No, it's not. It's really not. And they never do it to men. They do it to Tom Brady, but I feel like and LeBron James, but I feel like they do it more to women.
Yeah.
Even the commentators, when you're watching a race, it's like, wow, she's 42. I'm like, yeah, and she just ran 2:24. Like, why are you talking about her age?
Yeah.
She ran that. I mean, it's good that they said that she's 42, because now people can know, like, oh my God, this woman's 42 and she's running. But it's always some kind of question mark at the top of it.
Right.
When it doesn't have to be.
Right, exactly.
It just doesn't have to be.
So I think you started to get there, but tell me, what are the tips for staying healthy, being able to stay healthy and continue running? Because you've had a pretty long running career. Tell me, how do you keep from getting injuries? How do you stay healthy and be able to keep
I did have a hamstring injury, and it had lasted. It was actually during the marathon, the race that I did, and I just started, and I'll say it. I just started doing strength training. I never did strength training as a runner. I did it as a swimmer, and I swore I'd never lift weights again. It was like, nope, I don't need it. My body gains muscle pretty fast. But I know that I'll be a faster runner if I strength train. And if I don't, then I can't expect the times that I want if I don't do it. And it's just a matter of, do I want to do it or do I not want to do it? So I think there's that, knowing also what your body, like I was saying, knowing what your body needs,
right?
And sleep, and and no stress. And I know that sounds almost impossible, because we all have some form of stress or whatever, but I try to limit the stressful people in my life. You know what I mean? I try to stop if I can help it. Because it helps, and just limiting how I react to things and how I let things affect me. And because trust me, I'm in a business that's so fickle. I did a Super Bowl commercial before Christmas, and I'm like waiting to watch it, and my part didn't air.
Oh.
So it's one of those, and I'm just like, what?
I know.
I'm like,
oh man.
And I just take the L and go and keep going.
Yeah, I could have said I know her.
Not allow it to break me, because you can't. And not allow a bad race to break you either.
Yeah.
Because I had plenty of those. I've had plenty of bad races where I thought, what am I doing? Why am I? Because you start questioning yourself and all these things. But I think that you have to give yourself some leeway to have those bad workouts. But you did it.
Right.
Well,
and just maybe change. I don't think you have to be hyper, so nutritious that everything has to be, you can't have a sweet or you can't have a this, but you know what? Why not add protein shakes and supplements and all those things, you might as well. I mean, I look at what Olympians are doing. I look at what they're eating those things too. Their strength training. What makes me think I can not strength train and think I'm going to run a really fast when they're doing, tons of strength training. But I think, and also just seeing what other people are doing, seeing what the really good athletes are doing, it's fun to just kind of see what, like, wow, okay, well, that's not that bad. I can do that too.
Yeah. There you go.
Like, it's not hard. I really don't think that it's hard.
No, it's not. You got to make up your mind to want to do it.
Exactly.
And have your reason why to do it,
Exactly.
As long as you got your reason why, and just stick it with it. And the why can changes all the time,
Yeah.
So the motivation to want to do better, to want to change the habit, break the habit, to get, you got to be willing.
Why, exactly. And it's and the focus, because I know after I ran the Chicago Marathon in 2018, I remember saying to my coach, I know that I can run faster, because I knew when I crashed.
Yeah.
I knew, and I finished the race just going because, and I still did PR'd.
Okay.
I PR'd by I think 2 minutes or 1 minute or something,
and
I ran 2:52. But I just knew I could run faster.
Yeah.
And I remember I came back home, took a couple weeks off.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I haven't focused like that in a long time.
Okay.
And it was just I know I can run faster. And so I was just, focused on doing those 100-mile weeks and doing these crazy workings and just, and keeping my life going.
Yeah.
I never make running my focus ever. I think that's important too, to have other things in life.
Yeah,
that
definitely.
make you happy.
Yeah. Definitely some outlet. Yeah.
But running actually makes me happy. So
There you go.
it makes me a nicer person.
Yes. Yes. I tell people that all the time.
A better actor. It makes me a nicer person to be around. It keeps my skin clear. Like, it's, you know what I mean? It keeps it in shape.
Yeah.
It does so many things. And I tell people that all the time. They're like, why do you run? I'm like, well, I break out as much. I kind of, I feel good.
Okay.
Sir, to be around.
Yeah.
People.
Yeah. And that's when people always say, oh my God, I'm so stressed. I'm like, well, have you sweated yet? If I don't sweat, which is why when I was going through cancer, I was like, oh no, I can't take this chemo and not have this out of my body.
Yeah.
No. I have to, however I'm going to do it. I'm going to, even if I'm running 12 miles, I don't care. I'm going to sweat this out.
Gotta sort it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to, I know that for me, I know I sweat like crazy. I sweat like my daddy. Yeah. So that's another joke too. Sweat like my daddy. That's like my daddy joke. So yeah. I say that for another time. Yeah. But yes, we're getting close to the end. Well, I'd like to have this last question for everybody who I have on the show. So, what is your boundless motivation or thoughts, in a few words?
My boundless. I actually wanted to ask you what you meant by that. Like, I want to answer it correctly.
Okay. Yeah. See, I come up with that like for part of my not a mantra, but like boundless,
Okay.
Like in sports, you got basketball, football, they got boundaries. But running on boundless is not no boundaries, But being boundless, like not only where you're from or who you are, keeping you from not achieving any goals or whatever, It just
I'm a big David Goggins fan. I listened to his book, and I have my accountability mirror, and I've got my things on there. And the other day I looked at it, I was like, oh my God, I've done that one. And that one. done that one. So I have to put new stuff up. And they're just little Post-it notes
Okay.
that I just like to look at
Yeah.
every day. And it could be anything. It could be,
Yeah.
I have to wash my truck every week, or I have to, it could be anything.
Yeah.
And I put my things up there. Like, it's very personal to me.
Yeah.
And when people come over, I kind of take it off. I know, just because I just like, I don't know, because I put stuff all enter every part of my life.
Yeah.
I think that, and I stole this from Tony Robbins, because a week before the LA Marathon, I was able to go to one of his seminars.
Okay, nice.
And, he talked about how it was important to have a coach for every area of your life.
Yes.
And I absolutely agree 100% with that. And something that, he had this mantra that he would say to himself when he was kind of going through his whole movement, when he was coming up younger. And he was saying, every day in every way, I'm getting stronger and stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of stole that, and I started saying that on my runs. I'm like, every day in every way I'm getting, but I would change stronger and stronger to faster and faster.
Yes. Yes.
And it was sort of my thing. And I just and I still do it today. Every day in every way I'm getting stronger and stronger, or every day in every way I'm getting faster and faster. And it just sort of set with me.
Okay.
And so those are the two things that I like my mirror. I like to look at my goals, because I change them all the time. Because I don't believe in having one goal, like I don't even believe in having goals, because there's just so many things to do in your life that, as soon as I do one, I'm like, okay, I got to replace it with something else. Even if it's with a faster time. So I hope that answers the question.
Okay, yeah. So we saying, just like being boundless, it's like always getting better, always like striving to be better than you
I
want.
always want to be better. I want to be a better person in every area of my life.
Yeah. Okay.
I always want to get better at it, whether it's being a better friend, whether it's being a better daughter, whether it's being a better, actor, a runner, just little. And there's so many little things that are important.
Yes.
And the choices that you make, because I believe you are the, your life is the result of all the choices that you've made.
Absolutely.
So why not, I don't know, why not make better choices in life? Why not, make choices that might, I don't know, not have the results of something that you don't want?
Yeah.
Why not just, even if it's unfamiliar? So I believe in taking responsibility for things that you do, and I think that's it crosses over to sports as well.
Yeah.
If you don't train for the time that you want, don't expect to get that time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's that simple. You could get it, and then you might have cramps for the rest of your life, or you might pull something, or but you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
I never felt so good after a marathon after that, and I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I hope that I hope that all of my future races are that way.
Okay.
Awesome. So
yeah. That's great. Thank you. Thank you for that. And definitely just thank you just for your time.
Thank you for having me. This is fun. I appreciate you having me on. And
But before I let you go, if people want to connect with you, contact you, how will people
my Instagram? Yeah. It's private, but I always check it. Because I'm not that great at social media. I'm trying to get better, but just Instagram. But I always add people and everything like that. So
I got to tell people how we connected. I think I saw you on the Nicole.
Conversation pace. I love
pace. Conversation pace. I introduced I did an interview with her, and so now I connect with you. And also, I know you got a connection with Joanna White.
Yeah.
I didn't interview her, but her story and my website.
Oh, she's great. Yeah.
Since you live in South Carolina, my hometown also.
Yeah, that's right. My mom went to University of South Carolina.
Okay, so the connection is there,
Yeah.
And I reached out to you like June or July of last year.
Right.
But now we're here. And so, so yeah. So,
thank you. No, that's great. That's I appreciate you having me on, and it's really nice to meet you both.
Yes.
And I come to San Diego quite often, so I would I'd love to come out for a run.
We'd love to run with you.
Yeah.
You would run and we would follow, but
you guys do a lot of trail runs.
Oh yeah, trail. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think that's your thing, right? Like trail.
Yeah, I do a lot of trails. Yeah, I mean, I do some roads, but I have fallen with the trails. It just be out on trails, nobody around. It just really hit the it's just the beauty to be out the trails.
Yeah.
I really enjoy and embrace over the years. Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay.
So definitely.
Well, you're definitely such an inspiration. I'm so grateful to have been able to Kenneth for being able to co-host and to get to meet you and learn more.
Thank you so much. I hope that I answered your questions.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. It was great.
We'll definitely be following you as you keep reaching for more goals too.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, definitely. Thanks for joining us and the Live Run Boundless family. Also, thank you to Live Run Boundless family for joining me for another episode of the Live Run Boundless show. Living a life beyond the boundaries that you set on yourself. And then I believe that you show up that you could, you go past this boundary and just live that life, no matter what your age or wherever, you can go past your boundaries, so and just live life. So thank you for that. And family, until next time.